2024 has been a challenging year to say the least. Pests including slugs and rabbits have wreaked havoc on my flower fields here this year, meaning that the season got off to a really shaky start. But in the last couple of months I've been harvesting buckets full of flowers, which makes all of the hard work seem worth it. Flying high with armfuls of flowers didn't last long though. Last week while I was having a break away from the farm there was a frost in the forecast. There wasn't really a lot I could do about it, but just cross my fingers and hope that it wasn't going to damage the flowers too much. The dahlias have been super productive in the perennial field this year, and these are what I was worried about the most. Dahlias are sensitive to frost and can turn black and look wilted if they are affected by it. Most years I cut off my growing season at the end of September, and that is because there is a lot of field work to do to get ready for the season ahead. I want to be able to get my hardy annuals in the ground and my seeds sown and my beds cleared and prepped for the next season before wreath season starts in November. If I don't get everything done before wreath season, then I will fall behind and the field becomes even harder to work as it becomes more wet and cold in the winter. However, this year, because the start of the season was so shaky and I wasn't able to sell many flowers at the beginning of the season, I'm going to keep going for as long as possible. Here on my farm, which is in USDA equivalent zone 8B, I believe, we are expected to have our first frost somewhere in early November, so the flowers should keep producing up until then, but the shorter days and the colder nights are going to make it so that the flowers become less productive. Join me on the farm this week to see what damage this early frost did to the flowers and what I can do to keep the flowers going for as long as possible. As soon as I got back to the farm, I headed over to the field to check for damage on the dahlias. Most of the plants were fine, however there was some damage to the smaller plants at the far end of the field. Some of the petals on the paler dahlias had also experienced a touch of frost, which can be seen as a browning on the petals. I had various orders to fulfill at the end of the week, so I got cracking with deadheading the dahlias to encourage them to keep producing fresh flowers. Because dahlias are super productive and the weather forecast was looking good, I was really confident that I would have plenty of dahlias to pick at the end of the week. So I've been struggling with a couple of different pests here mainly on these white dahlias here and these Megan Dean dahlias that are at the front end of the flower field here. The lighter coloured dahlias are usually what kind of spot the disease on them a bit quicker than others. But the things that I've been dealing with here is tarnished plant bug, earwigs and thrips, I believe. So I've got a great combo going on there of all three kind of pests that we can expect to see on dahlias. This is tarnished plant bug damage, and I believe that is a tarnished plant bug there that is walking around on the bud, and it just causes the buds to be a little bit deformed like this. And this is they're sap suckers, so they'll suck the sap from the dahlias and cause them to be deformed and misshapen and a bit brown like this. This is a earwig that is hiding in the petals of this dahlia, and you can see that it's left some poop and some marks on this dahlia. It hasn't, it's maybe had a bit of a chomp on some of the petals there, but that's mainly what they do. They kind of eat the petals and it doesn't look very attractive, so I wouldn't pick and use the petals of a dahlia that an earwig would have eaten like that. So I'm going to chuck that away with the rest of the dead heads. So I'm just deadheading these single dahlias, which are really beautiful in arrangements, and it might be difficult maybe for somebody who's a beginner to decipher which is a flower bud and which is a spent flower which is going to produce seeds. So here is an example of a flower that has already flowered and it is starting to produce seeds in there. And then up here we have a bud which has got fresh petals in it that will unfurl and produce, will go into a stage like this and then produce a nice open flower like so, which will get pollinated by the bees like so, and then it will start to close up like so and produce a pod with seeds in it. So as I'm going down the rows, I'm looking for dahlias that I will not be able to pick and use anymore. For example, this one. So the petals have reflexed right back, and the petals are kind of looking paler and a little bit more shabby towards the back of the flower. The front of the flower might still be looking okay, but it's not going to last very long in the vase, so I wouldn't be picking that to use in an arrangement. This one has a couple of petals missing here, so I'll deadhead that one too. That is possibly a tarnished plant bug thing that's happened there, that's caused it to have no petals there on that side. This is another example of something that I wouldn't pick because the outer petals are starting to look quite aged, and it won't be long before they start to brown off like the ones on this flower here. So I kind of pride myself on picking very good quality flowers here on the farm, and even if something is slightly off, I won't pick it because I want to kind of be known for providing quality flowers that are going to last. I don't want to give British flowers or flower farmers a bad name by giving my customers poor quality flowers. So that is why I'm going through this deadheading process now, and making sure that I've got the best quality flowers to be able to sell at the end of the week this week. I've been making the effort to save more seeds this year, and one of the seeds that I'm looking to save at the moment is this marigold. If you've been watching my videos from over the summer, you will see that I have been using it quite a bit in my arrangements, and it's the first time I've grown it, but I've found it a really good, long-lasting, bright flower to use in summery bouquets and arrangements. So I'm going to pull this dead flower head apart and get the seeds out and store them in this brown envelope ready for next season. I'm just deadheading the cosmos here, and I am removing flowers that have been pollinated and have seeds and are producing seeds. So at this time of year the plants are naturally senetting, which is dying, and they are desperately trying to produce seeds for next season so that they can continue on their genes into the next generation. And when plants produce flowers, they are trying to be as attractive as possible to bees so that they will come along and pollinate them. And once the flower has been pollinated, then it is not going to last very long beyond that, because it is putting all its energy into producing seeds now rather than looking like an attractive flower. So I'm removing all of the flowers that have been pollinated, so you can see some of the pollen dust sitting on the petals there, and those flowers aren't going to last very long. So I'm removing them. I'm removing all of the seeds that have formed in the last week or so that I've been away, and hopefully the plant will start putting more energy into producing fresh flowers. So I'm removing all of the really open flowers, all of the pollinated flowers and the seeds that have been produced, so that the plant can carry on producing fresh flowers for me, hopefully for the next couple of weeks. Later on in the week, I started picking for the various orders that I had that week, and I was grateful that I did all of the deadheading earlier on in the week because I got lots of beautiful flowers picked, ready for my customers. You've probably seen from the clips this morning that I had the dogs with me, and I think because I was on holiday last week I'm feeling a bit guilty about the amount of time that I spent away from them. So I was like, oh, I'll bring the dogs to work. Sounds idyllic, working in the field with flowers and dogs, but actually it's not a great mix because Nelson, the 1.5-year-old puppy, is just jumping all over the plants. So I quickly picked the white cosmos that I had as an order for a florist because I was scared that they were going to get trashed and I could have potentially sold all of those cosmos, but instead Nelson's paws were stamping all over them. But anyway, I managed to get the cosmos in. The dogs are back in the house and I just need to continue picking this wedding order. I'm trying to do a bit of a summer-autumn transition with these wedding buckets because the bride is pretty happy with a mix of colours, but I'm trying to do kind of a bright autumn feel. I know that she likes the dark red / purple amaranthus, so I'm trying to blend that in with some nice, maybe some like pinks, some pink dahlias, some nice helichrysum, some corally colours. So hopefully those buckets are going to look really nice when she comes to collect them tomorrow. It's a bit of a overcast day today, but I'm still rocking the shorts. It's going to be pretty warm. So I've got a work experience person coming today who is a floristry student at the local college, and so I'm hoping to get lots done. So yesterday I made a plan of action for us both to get lots done in the next couple of days, and I have a list of things that we need to pick this morning because I have a few gift bouquets to do, and I have an order for a bucket for some flower crown making, so that's going to be a little bit different from the usual wedding buckets because I'm going to be picking things that are suitable for flower crowns. Yesterday I had a really good tidy up here in the polytunnel. I got rid of lots of weeds and I stripped down the melon plants a little bit because they were starting to have some powdery mildew on them, so I kind of freed up some air space around those melons and hopefully they'll continue to grow and ripen. So yeah, last year I managed to produce loads of melons here in the polytunnel and they were so tasty, but this year they've just been really slow to get started, so I'm hoping that I'm going to get a few of them before the weather turns cold and they're going to stop ripening and growing. I also gave everything a really good water in here because it has been starting to look a little bit dry. So the plan of action today is picking flowers, and I am going to plant out some perennials in this field here, mulch it with some compost first of all and then get those perennial plants put in so that they can get the roots down before summer. I'm also going to plant some more of the biennials and possibly even some annuals if we get time, because some of those are big enough to go out into the field now. And then we will also be pricking out some of the things that I started off from seed that just need a little bit of a boost before they go out into the field. So it's going to be a nice productive day today. Thanks again for joining me for another week on the flower farm. We managed to get lots done this week. We got almost two full beds of perennials and biennials planted out. So those plants are going to come in really handy next year. The perennials are so much more low maintenance than the annuals, so I'm looking forward to filling up this field with perennials next year for a more low maintenance flower farm, and also some really beautiful unique flowers too. Next week we are due a lot of rain, and it is starting now. You can probably hear it in the background. Tomorrow we're in for 30mm of rain, and I have lots of orders to do next week, which I'm a little bit concerned about. So stay tuned next week to find out what's happening on the farm next week, and I hope you learned something valuable or you just enjoyed watching this video. I really appreciate all of you for tuning in. So hopefully I'll see you again on the next one.